Welcome back. So we are jumping into session 7 in this free marriage communication workshop. And the concept today that I want us to dig into is this idea of playful words. Fun, putting some fun back into our marriage. Yesterday, we talked about the importance of breaking the cycle from just reacting out of that overflow of emotion that can cause some words that bring death. So breaking that cycle and beginning to respond instead. So as our husband comes in from work, he's had a bad day, whatever's happened, and he speaks words that stir up these emotions with us, where we just really want to react. We want to give it a piece of our mind, right? So instead of that, we are going to stop. We're going to go to our safe place. We're going to be prayed up over this area. I hope you printed off the verse cards to help us be praying over our own lives, over our mouth, that God would put a guard over our mouth, that He would filter our words. Okay? But how do we then respond differently? So all of those emotions are there. We've given them to God. He's working on them. But our husband is going to expect us to say something, right? We can't just be quiet all the time. And so there is this way that we can add a little bit of playfulness into the situation. Just diffuse the tension with a little bit of playful words, a few like flirtatious looks, a little bit of feminine wiles, if you will. And so it's a very biblical thing. I want us to look at Proverbs 25:11. It says, like apples of gold in settings of silver is a word fitly spoken. Another version says, is a word spoken in the right way, in the right circumstances. There are things we have to say, okay? But they don't have to be said in anger or frustration. They don't have to be said in a nagging way or a nitpicking way. Instead, we can really have fun in our marriage. We can resolve to take ourselves a little less seriously. Okay, I know the tendency in life, right, is to allow the burdens to kind of come at us. You know, when you're married, you have all of these responsibilities. And then as we get a little bit older, right, there's the rent or the mortgage, there's a car payment. We have to take care of the house. We have to replace the water heater. The kids get sick. We have hospital bills or doctor's bills or whatever. And all of that pressure kind of comes and sits and like zaps us of all the fun, right? Do you remember when you were dating your spouse? And just pause, think back, remember like that first date, or maybe if that was weird or uncomfortable or bad, like the first few dates, let's say the first month or two of your relationship, right? So I remember that time, like I put on a cute lipstick, I wore a really attractive outfits, you know, kind of come get me thing. I dressed nicely. I laughed at all his jokes. We went out fun places. We had a lot of fun. Like he enjoyed being with me. It wasn't all like serious, deal with responsibility, be the leader, you know, all of these things. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, right? We have to be responsible, mature adults. But can we have a little bit of fun too? You know what I mean? Like he married that fun girl. And I feel like somewhere along the way, I just flipped the script on him, right? Life got too hard. I stopped wearing the cute lipstick. I stopped flirting with him. I'm married to him. Why do I need to flirt with him? That kind of thought process. And he would say things, they would hurt my feelings, and I would just react. And we get to a point where it's almost like he's on eggshells. Like he doesn't know where that fun girl went. He's not enjoying things in his marriage so much anyway. And he's not sure what to say because at any moment he might say the wrong thing and I'm going to react with all of my emotions, like spew them at him. And so when we like make ourselves stop reacting, okay, we have the ability to respond and to add a little bit of fun back into our marriage. Okay, so for us, what this looks like is we have, I don't know, you probably do too, some like inside jokes, some silly, goofy, off the wall things that we might say or he might say. He's so much more fun than I will ever be. I have to practice very hard to put the fun back into our relationship because it is like I'm 99.9% serious. That's just, it is who I am, always have been. It was forced when we were dating, and it is forced now, and he doesn't realize how forced it is. He thinks I'm a comedian, okay? I'm just telling you. But there are things he says or the kids will say that are just funny, silly things, right? So as he is coming at me with things that are hitting at all of my insecurities, okay, let's stick with, for our time, let's stick with the example that I cannot cook spaghetti, okay? Can't. So as he is saying something to me about that, all right, and I have stepped aside, I've calmed down, I've given my emotions and my feelings to God, and I come back out, right, to finish making dinner. And you know what? I can add a little bit of playfulness into my response to him to help break the tension, to add a little bit of humor into our life, right? And I can kind of look at him and say, well, you know what, babe, you can count on me, Mama Tiffany, to be consistent, and give him like a little wink, like flip my hair, make sure he noticed I'm flirting with him. And we can just be in that moment having fun. And it does this really cool thing. Like it just breaks the tension, right? When I'm not taking myself too seriously and I'm playing with him, we're just having fun in that moment. So it's just a fun tool. And listen, it has to be practiced. I do not feel like being playful in that moment. I feel like justifying myself and vindicating myself, defending myself and my lack of cooking abilities. So I have to practice it. I have to practice it in a mirror, right? Because my face, like this beautiful face, will betray what I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking, why do you always have to get on me about cooking? You love me, and you're like, let it go. I don't want my face to say that though. I want my face to match the fun playfulness that I'm trying to put into the situation. All right, so that's one thing. So I'm going to say and overemphasize it, practice it. In the workbook for today's session, you have a list there. I want you to list the things that come up often over and over again in your home life, right? Because they do the same situations. They come up over and over and over again. List them. Like, what do they trigger in you? How is that hitting you in your insecurities and in those places? And what are some of the inside jokes, the things that you can kind of take advantage of and practice responding with, okay? Practice in a mirror, practice in a mirror, okay? Because if what you're saying and what your face looks like do not match, he will call you on it, right? Because as much as I'm talking to you about being a student of your husband, getting to know him and what he finds playful and he finds fun and he finds respectful, he is a student of you. He knows when you don't mean what you just said. Okay, so we want to mean it, first of all, right? We're working on those negative thoughts where it's a process. And you know what? Sometimes he catches me and he's like, okay, but what did you really mean to say just then? I see your face doesn't match. And you know, sometimes in a playful, not playful, more feminine way, right? I will take on that little girl. Okay, you want to imagine like as a little girl would be like caught, like just caught, that very soft, gentle way to say, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this right and fix it. And what I want is to mean what I said, and I love you. And can we just have fun in this moment? Can you give me a little bit of grace? Just to, let that be not aggressive, not assertive, not, well, I'm working on this, and if you would just back off, maybe I can practice. And like, we don't want that. We want the opposite of that. We want a femininity to how we're talking to him. In today's lesson, I talked to you a little bit about kind of buffering things, kind of using feminine phrases. And I want to give you some examples of that. So let's say he caught me in that, and I would say, you know what? I know you love me and you would never mean to hurt me, but I'm really working on this. And when you approach me that way, it kind of makes me feel hurt. And I know you don't mean to hurt me, but could we just move past it? Could we just go into the next thing? Would that be okay? We're just gonna call on his chivalry, okay? We're gonna affirm who he is. We're gonna affirm his character. We're gonna affirm the things we know to be true about him. So don't lie to him. Don't make up things. But there are good things about your husband. There are things that are amazing about him. Maybe it's that he's a good father. Maybe it's that he wants to provide for you. Maybe you know, even though he does things that hurt your family, maybe you know it's not intentional. Like he's just struggling in his sin, and we can affirm that in him. One of the most affirming things I started saying to my husband is, I know you are a godly man, and you are trying to grow in your relationship with God. And I love that about you. I love to see you trying different things, and when it doesn't work, you go on to another thing. And just adding these kind of affirming phrases into the midst of the conversation, whatever it is. So let's say he has come at me, about whatever. I do not do well matching his socks. Okay, just I have a husband who is just OCD. That is a part of what I know about who he is. Not in a silly, oh, that's so OCD, but he really is. It matters to him how his socks feel, and so if I match them wrong, and we've got like a short with a long, and he's getting ready in the morning, that really bothers him a lot. So I remember a time where he would just chew me out about that. And so that conversation kind of started like, babe, you are a godly man really pursuing the Lord. And I know that you don't intentionally do things to hurt me, but when you get very upset with me about your socks, it makes me feel like I am not good enough and I am not the right woman for you. And I know you didn't mean that, but I need you to hear me. So we're affirming him. We're calling on that deep manliness inside of him. Okay, and there's so much controversy about this, the idea of playing into our femininity. Listen, I'm just gonna say it, like it is a gift to have that feminine way about us. Because here's the thing, right? As much as we've progressed and women's rights and equal this and stand up for that and vote for this, our men are still men. They still have like this wild heart that wants to be a man to his woman, even if you don't see it, okay? Even if society has so stomped that down in him, or maybe, you have, I did for years for my husband, like stomp that down, like don't be chivalrous, don't try to do this, I can do it myself, and I don't need a man, and don't try to, I'll lead myself, all those things, like that was how I was. I'm not condemning. What I want us to think about though is, think about your man, even if he has totally checked out, okay? Even if he spends his life on social media, he spends his life playing video games, whatever it is, our femininity, that feminine wile that we have about us, really can be a powerful tool to pull him back to us, to stir that chivalry inside of him, to make him want to step up and lead and to step in and love us. But we have to practice it, right? It is such a lost art. I remember as a little girl, I used to always want to be a mom. I would play house like crazy all the time. Anytime somebody wanted to play, I was going to be like the first one to say, let's play house. I'll be the mom. I see it in my youngest all the time, and I just smile because not much she got from me, but that she did. And when you're playing house, right, you are like practicing the scene over and over and over, and you're being sweet and you're being flirtatious, you're being romantic, you're being a good mom, you're practicing and practicing and practicing until it feels right. And then the next time you play, you just kind of slide right into that thing that felt right. When we have this peace, this powerful peace, like our femininity, and it's really gone, like where it's gone are the days when you have feminine women, but we need it back, right? If we want to call on our husbands to be godly men, we need to relearn how to be feminine women, practicing it until it feels right, replaying the situation in our mind until we're ready. The next time that particular thing comes up, I'm going to try this response. And you know what? If it doesn't work, oh well, chuck it. It was better than what we reacted before, but we can replay it again and try a different response until we hit just the right balance of playfulness or flirtation or femininity, that it stirred something in him, okay? Now, in the beginning, it stirred a very deep desire in him to be intimate, which is amazing because that had been lost. But now I see it in him and it stirs him to want to step in and lead us. It stirs in him this desire to fix things and help with things and give me the liberty to pursue other things. And it is just amazing how it has woken up this man, this man who, he was asleep. There was nothing happening there. And we are, I don't know, several years into it. And now I see truly how I would affirm him before and say, I see you striving to be a godly man. Now I can say to him, you are such a godly man, and I see you doing this, this, and this. And he loves that. He eats it up. It does so much for our communication when I will just affirm him. And we're going to talk about this again tomorrow, I think, about those words of affirmation. But right now, we're thinking about how can we respond in a playful way? How can we respond in a feminine way? How can we break the tension? How can we break our cycle of reacting to respond in a way that brings a little bit of life back into our marriage, a little bit of fun? It is so possible. And I would love to know, what are some of the phrases or things that you would think about using? Let's give each other ideas. I could always use some more. I'm here to tell you. Or what are the situations and you're like, I don't know how to send that playful? Let's talk about that. I would love to hear from you about it. Drop it in the comments. If you caught this at the end and you haven't registered for the marriage workshop, make sure that you do that. The link's in the description. And we will be back tomorrow to add another tool to our marriage communication tool belt. And until then, you have a blessed day.